Hello there. Today, we're going to talk about organized play, um, specifically surrounding the Denver sectional that just happened. And I'm honored today to be joined by a friend and a recent FFG hire, Ron. Welcome, Ron.
Thanks for having me, Nathan. Yeah, I went to Denver this weekend. First event at a new job, Fantasy Flight Games Organized Play. I'm the retail store specialist, and it's basically a fancy term for I'm the organized play member who's responsible for all the events that happen inside the local game stores. My job is to honestly um, grow them, improve them, make Star Wars events as successful as they can be in a store. And it's also kind of like in a way, I'm kind of like a community liaison on the
Hmm.
organized play side for the retailer and the players. So, like, if people are looking to have a direct line of communication with organized play, I've kind of been given that instruction by Jim actually at Gamma, Jim Cartwright, when he gave his speech at Gamma. The room was packed, 2,500 people. Well, I don't even know how many. And he made me stand up in front of the whole room and kind of surprised me. He was like, "Hey, by the way, if you need something about at your store about Star Wars Unlimited, talk to Ron."
That's awesome.
So I've accepted the responsibility. I'm happy to do it. So this is my first podcast talking about Star Wars Unlimited, and it's with you, which is great because I bumped into you at the Denver sector, and we have quite a bit of history playing Star Wars card games since Star Wars LCG from Fantasy Flight Games.
Yeah, when I heard that you were getting this gig, I was super excited. I thought this is probably one of the best things to ever happen to Star Wars Unlimited because I've been playing in events organized by you for, I don't know, 5 or 6 years or something like that.
It's longer
And
than that. The LCG was like 2011 or 12.
yeah, yeah. And it was always impressive. I mean, people would travel from Minnesota to Chicago to play in events that would only have 20 people or something in them because they love the game and because you put on such a good time. So
Yeah,
I'm
those were
very
like
excited to
the
see what you can do
equivalent
nationally.
of like a store showdown. People were traveling from other states to come to our store
It was
for events,
awesome.
so it was pretty cool. I'm
Yeah.
proud of it.
So I'm pumped, and we'll get into it, but I'm already excited for, for what you're doing. Um, so let's talk about it a little bit.
Sure.
So as a preamble, it's relevant to know that I scrubbed out of the main event pretty early. I went 3-3, so I was pretty in tune with the side events and the prize wall and what was going on. And a bunch of people were interested. So when we arrived, at the event, this is what the prize wall looked like. I didn't actually take a picture of the cost of the playmats here, but they were 2,000 a piece. The shirts were 1,400. Packs were 100 a piece, 500 for a carbonite pack. So it kind of felt like a prize wall ticket's going to be worth around $5, give or take. But this is what the structure of the payouts for the main event and the side event looked like. So the main event didn't give any prize wall tickets, right? You could go pretty far and you just kind of missed out.
Originally, yeah.
Originally, yes.
Yeah.
And then, you know, th- there was also some rockiness because the coins were missing, and I think you guys are going to rectify all that.
Yeah. So yeah, let's start there. Yeah,
Mhm.
there's a handful of items, soft crates, the metal initiative coins. Unfortunately, there's a handful of items that are kind of in limbo at the moment. Um, they're basically stuck in another country, and we're trying to acquire them. So they are missing for some of these events. That being said, um, we have everyone's email who attended the event. we are going to pay the cost to ship everyone all of their missing prizes. So no one's gonna miss out on anything, and no one's gonna get it like earlier than anyone else. They're all gonna get it roughly, same time as we're gonna spend a lot of time on logistics shipping those out. It is a sad thing, but uh, global shipping's still a problem, and
Yeah.
I did logistics for many years, so I understand the pain. And while it's disappointing, um, the thing that we hope that people take away is that we're still going to do the right thing, and we're going to make sure everyone gets their stuff.
Yeah, that's awesome. I could have seen you offering a program where, like, pick it up at Galactics instead, and we'll give you a pack with the coin. Save on all that shipping. Probably 70% of the people who were there will go to that.
Yeah. I mean, there is that, like, you know, but I think I don't know. We could have done something like that, but then, like, don't want to necessarily, like, force people, make people feel like they have to go to pick up their prizing.
Yeah,
But yeah, no. And
it's
plus, I'll be honest with you, the GC, the Galactic, it's a big event. I think it's a little bigger than people kind of realize.
okay.
There's a lot going on, and like for this show, we sent 3 organized play members to this show. Myself, Maddie, and Corey were all
Hmm.
at the show with the explicit instruction to be accessible to the players, take feedback, play. We were told to play. We were told to trade. We were told to have fun. When we go to the GC, we're still gonna have some fun, but we're gonna all be so busy that there'd be very little time to hang out and play.
That's
Um,
awesome.
so, um, so that might have been a factor in the decision, probably just to mail it all out. We just want to make sure everyone gets it, and
Well,
yeah,
I think it speaks to the integrity of the folks at FFG too. So that's awesome.
we're trying.
Um, so that's one thing fixed, and we'll get to more. But in case folks don't know, I want to break down a little bit of some of the pricing structure of some of the side events.
Yeah, please do.
So there were some sealed events where you can see, just for participating, you got 100 tickets, and then basically for every win, you picked up 200 more tickets. There was a spotlight deck battle where you could actually get a ton of tickets just for playing. You got 300 per round, right? So you'd get 900 tickets for playing that. There was some Twin Suns options, and then there was on-demand draft and premiere pods that would fire. And those were a little funky because you only got prize tickets if you won or if you came in second, right? So if
Yeah,
you
just the top 2, right? Yeah,
Yeah. So if you joined a draft and lost your first game, you were done,
yeah,
right? Go join another draft. And I think this, in general, folks were kind of disappointed, I think is fair to say.
yeah.
Uh,
That's right. I'll be honest with you. As a draft is my favorite format. Uh, so part of me for drafting is the enjoyment of it. So I'm not really a fan of that structure personally. Um, and it's definitely something that when we go to talk about it, I'll be bringing up that I would like to see more of a you do a draft, you play all 3 rounds, and you get tickets for you know um, how you do in those 3 rounds.
sure. So that first evening, just to set the stage a little bit, I think you'll talk about it more, but I think folks were grumbling a little bit, right? Like, hey, I
Mhm.
flew here and I can't even get a playmat, if I go do 3 drafts and stuff like that. And then day 2, we walk in and there had been some changes made. And I had a guess as to why and who made those. Can you tell us more about what happened that night and why a bunch of changes were made?
Yeah, I'm happy to talk about it. So, a couple of us were very aware on Saturday that people were upset. Um, Towards the end of the day, we really started to notice it as like more and more people were filtering out of the main event and trying to do
Mhm.
side events. And I was very, I was noticing that there was not a lot of people visiting the prize wall.
Yeah.
There was a girl sitting there by herself, kind of twiddling her fingers,
Yeah, she was
um,
lonely.
and and I would walk by her and say, hey, how's it going? Are you getting any activity? And she's like, well, a little bit here and there, but it's pretty desert dry right
Yeah.
now. So so I took that and I said, okay. At the end of the event, when the event wrapped up, I said, what I want to do is I'm gonna go and there was a judge meetup that I wanted to attend. I felt it was really important. It was the first event I worked at where I got to work with the Cascade Judge team.
Mm.
I wanted to introduce myself. I wanted to give them access the same way I give players access to organized play, and so I also wanted to get their feedback. So the judges gave me a bunch of feedback. I took notes and like copious notes on my phone from all the judges, and then the next thing that happened was I started to head back to my hotel. And as I got back to my hotel, I noticed some messages on my phone, social media messages where people were not happy about the prize
Yeah.
ball situation. And but as soon as I walked in the tone, I spotted a group of people talking about the prize ball situation at the bar. They weren't too happy. It was 11 o'clock. They were drinking some cocktails, and so I sat down and I just took feedback. I basically said, "Hey, don't be shy. Whatever you want to say, I'm here to listen.
Hmm.
And if you don't tell me, I can't fix anything." So I let them vent, took it all in, listened, and probably spent maybe about half an hour or so with those guys. Um, and Then I left the bar, and as I was walking to the lobby, I spotted some of the Bothan Network people.
Hmm.
They were in the lobby and they were playing Star Wars. So I said, "Yeah, I want to walk over and see how their day goes because they're ultra competitive, right?
Sure.
They just ran a big 10K
Hmm.
down at Card Game HQ, and I had just met them earlier the weekend. So I was like, I'm gonna go see how these guys are doing. And I walked in and I just saw disappointment on face after face.
Mm.
And so I pulled up a chair and I proceeded to take more feedback, more notes. I think I was there until a little past 1 o'clock in the morning. I was pretty tired, but like I felt it was important again to know that we are listening. We
Yeah.
are so here's the thing: we're always going to make mistakes. Every card game doesn't matter who they are. Magic's been around for 30 years; they're going to make mistakes. Lorcana, everyone's going to make mistakes. Doesn't matter what the game is; they're going to make mistakes.
Yep.
But the important thing is that the people who are making the game, that to know that we care about the people who play it, and that when we do make mistakes, we're going to take that feedback and we're going to try to fix it. We're always going to try to improve. And we're never going to be satisfied with it. Every time there's something, we're going to be like, oh, well, what could we have done better? That's the
Hmm.
goal, right? Every time, how can you get better, 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 better? Um, you start at one level and you have to have that standard of how can you be the best you're going to be every time you do it. And that's my approach with organized play. That's my approach with running events. It's just that I've had a lot of experience, so I run into less landmines now than I did 10
Sure.
years ago, but I've definitely been through the gamut of them. So I took that feedback. I put it in a document. I sent it off to some of the people who have a higher pay grade than me at FFG, um, letting them know that we were on site and that I would inform the team in the morning and start suggesting some changes. So, first thing in the morning, the team met for breakfast. We talked about changes. We agreed on what we were going to do. And the first thing we did is we got to the convention show at like 8 o'clock in the morning. We talked with our third party partner, Star City Games, and we made a bunch of changes, including lowering prices. We changed, we lowered the price on a bunch of items that we all felt needed to be lowered.
Right.
The third party partner was totally cool with it. Like, whatever you guys want, they did it without question. We also asked them to increase some of the payout on
Hmm.
some of the events that they could do. including the main event. So I know that everybody that participated in day 2 of the main event got, I think, at least 1,000 prize tickets.
Yeah.
So that when they were done with the main event, they would be able to buy some stuff off the prize wall without having to play at any side events. So, um, and there's going to be more changes. So, but I we did what we could do in that very really short,
Yeah.
12 9 hour period, whatever you want to call it.
Right. From 1 in the morning when you quit taking notes to 8 in the morning, that's only 7 hours.
Yeah, and there was a hardly any sleep in there because I'll be honest with you, I'm going to bed and I'm trying to sleep, but I'm worked up, and
Yep.
all I can think about is like, okay, there's this problem and this problem and this thing, and how can I fix it? So, there was some sleep in there, but it wasn't much.
Well, on the behalf of the Star Wars Unlimited community, allow me to say thank you, both to you personally for being willing to take all that feedback, but also to the whole organization. I'm sure there were a lot of people up and down the flagpole that heard the feedback, and I'm with you. Everyone makes mistakes, right? We're humans, but I've always been impressed with Fantasy Flight's ability to react to feedback and to try to make it right.
Yeah,
And just as one example, I think it worked pretty well, right? So this is what I took home. And I would call this maybe a slightly above average haul because I was taking the side events fairly casually, right? If folks wanted to split tickets before we even played the games, I was willing to do that. Um, if folks didn't want to, I typically won, so that's why it's probably an above average haul. But I took home 2 sets of all the promos, and got basically 2 playmats from the prize wall with just playing in 2 side events. So
yeah. I mean, you have 4 out of the 5 playmats that were available at the show.
yeah,
There's only one playmat you don't have there.
so
So yeah, that's
in
pretty
my mind,
good.
it kind of worked.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, that was pretty good. There was so one thing that was really important to me, and it was funny. This is something that happened about midday after the change, where we cut the playmat pricing in half, like the cost to buy it in half.
Hmm.
Me and one of my teammates, I had the discussion of, listen, I'm looking on social media and I'm seeing people um, showing pictures of the prizes that they can't get,
Hmm.
and that's not inspiring for me.
Yeah.
And as we as and so we had this discussion. I said, what I want to see is people showing pictures of the things that they got, like
Yep.
this. This is what I want to see. So when we were talking with some fans who were thanking us for the changes, some guy walked behind us, and he was all by himself, and he had the Commander Cody playmat, and he unfolded it as he was walking, and he was like, heck yeah, like he was talking to himself, celebrating. And we me and me and my coworker, we looked at each other, and it was like telepathically, without saying words, we're like, that, and that's it, like
Yeah, we did it.
that was what we wanted.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Yeah, I wanted to give you kudos on a few other things that I thought really, really worked. So obviously increasing the prizes and reducing the costs was awesome. The promo side event, I think, was a big winner for folks who weren't playing in day 2. Uh, this was one where, just for playing, you got one of all the promo cards, which was essentially like $1,000 worth of ticket, or
Yep.
1,000 prize wall tickets. Plus, you could score a whole bunch more with a bonus if you went undefeated. Um,
Yeah, this
no,
is exactly the type of event that we want to have.
yeah,
Where, like, you're playing in a side event, you're getting a value for just playing, and then you're earning more tickets for for playing in all the events, and your performance. So this is like the structure that we're going to try to more aim towards, more shooting. And
awesome.
I think this was an amazing event. In fact, before I even went, this was the one event that, like, uh, this was an event that was created by FFG that we're really super proud of. So,
Yeah.
and we had this event at all the shows, and we'll continue to do this event. Also, the FFG bounty thing.
Hmm.
So that was also a last minute thing. Um, so that came about from feedback, not necessarily feedback of like you guys should do bounties. It was more like, hey, how could you do more for us? So everyone who was on staff, we grabbed playmats and promo cards, and we played in as many side events as possible for us. Um, and we were giving out swag to people for and I lost every premier constructed game I played, so I gave away a lot of bounties.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I guess my deck, my homebrew deck wasn't as good as I thought it was. Um, but it was funny because when people found out I was FFG staff and they saw I was playing yellow, they're like, "Oh man, he's probably gonna be a tough bounty." And I don't think I'm bad at the game, but I definitely don't think my version of Piet was yellow. It's definitely not the same as the one that had been performing. So I
Yeah,
got
I happened to be playing Piet Yellow that same day, and I think we compared decks, and it was like 10 cards for the same or something like
wait, wait, it was
that.
almost 15, 20 cards. Your Pietella was more like the battle droids and the invincible stuff. Mine was more of a traditional capital ship deck, vehicle deck. And it just didn't pan out. I got dunked on by Quinlan Voss, Garth Saxon. I lost a close game to your what was it? Anakin Blue, and then I got slaughtered by a Django deck. So I too participated in getting slaughtered by Django. But more importantly, we gave out a ton of stuff. I gave out I think 12 playmats, and I lost count of how many cards I gave out. Between I played in a Premier Constructed, I played in a Booster Draft, I played in multiple Twin Suns pods. Um, so I played as much as I can, and so did my other teammates as well.
Yeah, people love that. I knew a few folks who played against one of the, you or your coworkers and scored a bounty. And I also saw people I didn't know who were like, check this out. This was a freebie. I didn't even know.
Yeah.
Was...
Plus, like if you're feeling upset, and you want to vent, there's nothing like dunking on an FFG employee. It feels pretty good. So we had a good time. Everyone was great. Everyone was appreciative. We definitely felt the vibe change. I felt like on Sunday, there was definitely a community vibe change of this is really fun. I'm glad I came. So, and that's all we really want.
Yeah, that's awesome. Okay, I've got a bunch of questions, rapid fire to hit you with. I gave you a bunch of stuff that was awesome. These are maybe a little bit more like, could we change or improve things based on what I'm hearing?
Yeah. What could we do better? Kind of questions.
Yeah.
Sure.
So the first one is kind of a general question, and it comes with some insinuated follow-up questions. But is your goal for the side events to be casual or competitive or kind of a mix?
Great question. So I think side events are all casual. They're not competitive. The only way I would consider, or we would consider a side event competitive, is if we explicitly stated it in the event description.
Yeah.
They're not meant to be competitive, and one way you can know is that an FFG employee cannot participate in a competitive event. So that is a great way to know that it's definitely not a competitive event. But I also agree with you because it can be confusing if the prize structure for a side event is weighted more towards winning.
Yeah, if we go back and look at this, right? If you play and don't win anything, right, because you took a Hera deck or whatever, which some people did, right, to this tournament, you got all the promos but nothing else.
Well, you got right. Yeah, if you went for whatever, yeah. If you didn't win it, if you didn't win a match, yeah. You did get $1,000 worth of tickets basically in the promos because that means you'd have to buy in those promos, right? So you did get something.
Yes,
But yeah, you had to
but if
win
you
to earn more tickets.
yeah, but if you brought an ultra competitive deck and managed to go 4-0, you took home 2 playmats.
Yeah.
Right. And so I think the way this was set up made people want to try a little bit. It made it into more of a competitive tournament. So just
Well,
for an
yeah,
example,
and to be
I played.
fair, this one was labeled as competitive Premier Constructed promo event.
Ah,
We couldn't have played at this one. So this was the one event that was competitive.
well, that's fair. I missed that.
All
I
good.
thought you did play in this one.
No, I did not play that. I played only Premier Constructed like side events,
Ah,
like
okay.
pods.
Well, I missed that. That's my bad. So now
All
it
good.
makes sense why I played 3 Django's in that event.
Yeah, so we wanted we had to keep in mind that a lot of the people who are coming to play in the main event, right? That are they're all competitive players. So we wanted to make sure the following day that we had that other event for
I
those
yeah.
people who are no longer playing, in addition to other side events, if
Yeah.
that makes sense.
That makes total sense. And I just missed that. And maybe that'll be a good hint to folks going forward, myself included, that if you see competitive,
Yeah,
that's not the homebrew fun deck. I mean, you're always welcome to.
yeah. You're
You,
welcome to
you
play.
might expect to still run into the top decks.
Yeah, yeah. You're not going to run into as many wacky decks, I think, in those side events.
Okay, cool. So for the ones that aren't labeled competitive, um, do you think it makes more sense to kind of level out the prize pool a little bit more,
Yeah,
such that you know you get a couple hundred prize tickets every round, and then there's
yeah,
100 or 200 more for winning every round, kind of
yeah.
thing?
My personal. This is not an FFG thing. This is just a personal event philosophy. For I think when it comes to events, to make an event like casual, the prizing in that event would also kind of get determine how casual or competitive event is. So yeah, for a casual event, I we would definitely like to see more of a flat pricing. You
Yeah,
know, more spread out amongst the people who are playing, not so top weighted. And it's great feedback. I completely agree with that feedback, and it's something we'll talk about as we, like I said, we're always looking to improve, and we're going to make changes for events.
sweet. So this next question might be a tough one, but again, I'm thinking about that Hera player, that Rio player, right?
Sure.
What about the person who wants to bring a Hera deck to a super competitive tournament? Is there any chance that you could, give out showcases for every top leader, not just the top 64 folks?
As much as I would love to do that, it's unfortunately not possible. So, without going into great detail, um, basically all the showcases that are allocated for sectors, regionals, and the Galactic Championship, this top 64 bonus pricing, which, and I can tell you why, because like I was in charge of making that stuff happen. Like that was
Okay.
my project. So I was the one who had to figure out how do I obtain said showcases? How are these stored? How are they protected? In because we had them all inner sleeve with GameGenic slide cases, and then we had to figure out how they're transported. There was a lot to it, but one of the things to it was how many showcases are actually available, and
Okay.
basically I was limited to what we would call. Uh, I was limited to whatever copies were printed that didn't go into booster packs. We call them studio copies. It's a
Okay.
very limited amount that are for the studio, um, and that don't go into booster packs. And they're only printed when the set's printed, and we can't really print more of them. So we were very limited. So the idea, so the top 64 came from how could we spread this out over all these events, and what supply do we have? And that's basically the supply for season 0. That's the supply we have. We
Okay.
have enough to do the top 64 at all the sectors, the regionals, and the Galactic Championship, and we're not going to run out for those events. Now for season 1, it'll be a little different because the timing on things when season 1 sectors and regionals happen, we should have our first rotation. So sets 1, 2, and 3 won't be available
Okay.
for us as showcases because you won't be able to play them in Premiere Constructed. So all of the showcases that will be allocated will be sets 4, 5, 6, 7, yada yada yada.
That makes sense.
So
So this won't be, if there's ever like an eternal format or something like that, this prize probably goes away.
We're just limited to the amount of times we can do this type of prize. It's kind of a very special thing.
Yeah.
Now, I'm not saying that this is the only events. I could give this as a way as a slight spoiler. The sectors, regionals, and GC are not the only events this year that you will be able to get a showcase prize.
Cool.
There's another event that's going to have some showcase prizing. I can't tell you where it is. I can't tell you what it is. But I promise you it's happening.
Awesome.
And it is probably the event I'm most proud of, and people are going to be excited. I did design the event. It's my event, but I can't say anything more about it. But I will say keep an eye out for the stream because I'm working with marketing, and there will be a stream that talks about this event and all the details. And I think people are going to be happy.
Awesome. I'll look out for your name on the schedule for the streams.
Yeah.
Cool. See, you already, we talked about the fact that you did end up giving prize tickets to folks who made day 2.
Yes.
Are you thinking about more, prize tickets for wins in the main event?
Yeah. We're definitely going to this week. We are going to get our team together. We're going to review the prize structure as it's sat after this weekend, and we're just gonna see how we can revise it and make sure it's the best it could be for the next sector in Richmond. So there will be changes. It will not
Awesome.
be. What was the start of this event will not be what's at Richmond. It will be improved. Same thing for regionals. So there's no fear if you've signed up to go to sectors and regionals. All these events are going to be better. They're going to have a better prize economy. They're going to have a better payout. We want people to leave with the stuff.
Yes.
We don't want to ship the stuff back. It does not help us. So we want people to leave with goodies, and we want people to show us all the goodies that they got. So keep that in mind. Please come to sectors and regionals. I'll be there. The team will be there again. If you got some frustration and you want to, play against me and beat me up, you can do that as well. We'll be there.
Awesome. All right. This one might be a quicker one.
Okay.
So, some of the playmats say participant on it, and it's a really big participant, right? Like on the regional mat, you've got a beautiful shot of Executor with Star Destroyers in the background, and like a quarter of the mat says participant. I don't think anyone likes it. I think a lot of people hate it. What are the odds we can get rid of that in future OP support?
So we listen. If you guys don't like it, we don't want to do it. So we need to know. So this is great. I'll definitely take this to the team. There are still, unfortunately, there are going to be like there's no way the regional playmat's going to change at this point. But it's kind of like we hear feedback and you guys say so. Like I can tell you right now, this is kind of a spoiler, but not a spoiler. There are certain like things that people have told us about like prizes that we've given away already that people didn't like treatments and styles and things that people didn't like, and we've like those are gone, and we replaced them with better looking stuff, and it's because of the feedback that people gave us. So if people are like, we don't like that, we can absolutely take that feedback. We can go right to the design people and say, hey, this people are not a fan of that, let's get rid of it, make it look cooler.
Awesome. I suppose this is a good time to say that I didn't mention that the Obi-Wan and Kylo cards were awesome. I didn't see a single person say that they were disappointed with that. Everyone thought they were amazing.
So I did not see those in person until the event.
Wow.
I only saw like the mock-up so like on a computer screen.
Yeah.
But like I think people don't understand these are like the prestige foils. These things are gorgeous. They have raised, um, like the raised edges on the
Yeah.
cards.
Like
Um,
an embossment. Was that
yeah,
what you call
it
that?
very much like the prestige. If you've noticed
Yeah.
some of the like the tier two and the serialized, like especially in the serialized cards, how like these are just these crazy beautiful foils. They have the raised parts to the card,
Hmm.
raised accents on the card. That's what the I didn't know that they were like that. So
They
when
were
I
awesome.
saw them, my jaw dropped, and I was like, "Oh, I didn't make the top 64, so I'm gonna have to trade for those." Um, yeah, so I'm gonna have to figure out a way to get a Kylo. That was pretty cool.
Those
Um,
are awesome.
yeah, so I cannot say enough how beautiful those cards are. From the treatment to the printing to the that is one of the big wins for me is how beautiful those cards were.
Yeah. Nice work to whoever did that.
Yeah, I don't know, but I'll have to thank it myself.
Cool. All right. This might be another tough one. So there were 9 rounds on day one.
Mm-hmm.
If you were 7-2 or above, you made day two, right?
Yeah.
Then on day two, they played 2 Swiss rounds before cutting to a top 8.
Mm-hmm.
There were some people who made day two, won both games, and didn't make the top cut because there was only 2 rounds, right? So it felt weird to like go undefeated, show up, go undefeated day two, and not make the top cut. Thoughts?
Yeah. Um, I don't love it personally. With someone who ran a lot of tournaments with different structures and stuff. Um, so unfortunately, it is something that happened. Um, I'll be honest, with you, no one on the organized play team like we didn't love that. We thought it was a pain point for us, something to make sure that doesn't happen again.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and the reason that it kind of happened was when the prize structure was made for the sectors and regionals events, they were made before the change, implementation of adding draws into the Swiss format. So it was made with
Oh,
the old were like you either won or you got a double loss.
yeah.
You got a lot, you had a loss, the double loss, or you won. And then when we switched to 3 points for a win, 1 point for a draw, and 0 points for a loss, it changed the math on the
Mm,
Swiss structure for the way this event was structured. Um, um, the event was also originally, I think, sculpted with like 1,000 players attending or something, which none of the events have hit that part. So it
yeah.
was just, it was really just a math issue
Okay.
with why that happened, and we couldn't really. There's really nothing we could do about it in the moment. It was one thing that it was a tough change to deal with. Um,
Yeah, because at that point, people had already been intentionally drawing, and the number of rounds had been announced already, right? So, like,
right, that was the thing. It's like, and as you know, as a tournament organizer, you can't say, "Hey, we're going to play this many rounds," and then go back and change it.
yeah,
Like you've made your boat, and you got to stick in your boat at that point.
yeah,
You can definitely make changes in the future. We'll definitely look at this. This is not a feel good for anybody, whether you played the tournament, whether we made the tournament. We didn't feel good about it. So it's on the copious notes. It's like bold, highlighted. We're going to talk about it for sure. And we apologize to those people. And yeah, that's really all I can say, unfortunately.
yeah.
But yeah, it is a pain point, and we're looking to we'll definitely look to fix that in the future. I definitely know that that's not going to happen at GC because the structure is different, and we're going to adjust the sectors and regionals going forward to all of our little points here.
Awesome. What about chaos drafts? I was surprised that those didn't show up as a side event.
Chaos draft, yeah. I don't know why not. We could do chaos draft. So I think chaos draft really is just a matter of are we getting feedback that people want to do chaos draft? As FFG, right? They design all the drafts to work within set. Like
Yeah,
that's how they're
yeah,
designed. Um, so like doing just 3 packs of a set is like the standard.
right.
Um, but if that's something people want, if people want chaos sealed, if people want chaos draft, really, if there's any format that you're like, man, we really want, we'll make adjustments. One thing we took away from this event, Twin Suns was super popular,
Really?
super
Awesome.
popular. Like all the Twin Suns side events were, a lot of them were bigger than they thought. And so one change we're going to make is that going forward at sectors and region, like the next one, we're going to have Twin Suns pots on demand.
Oh, cool.
People wanted it, and so yeah, we're gonna make that change.
How many people do you need to fire a Twin Suns pod?
4.
Oh, okay. So it's just a Twin Suns game, not necessarily a pod.
Well, a pod would be 4, but we could do. There's other ways to do it. So I can tell you, we're gonna look at the structure, but like one way that I've done it with Twin Suns pods in my store was we would fire a pod of 8,
Mm-hmm.
and the way we would do a pod was we would randomly see 8 people down, 4 people will play, 4 people will pay. Everyone would get like a ticket for participating, and then there would be like 2 tickets in the middle for winning.
Yeah.
And then after that, then we would mix the pot up again. So
Oh,
you
okay.
play different people, and then same thing. You get a
Yeah.
ticket for playing, and then 2 tickets in the middle for winning. So
That's
we
fun.
could suggest something like that for Twin Suns pods. I don't know exactly how they're going to work for Richmond yet. I just know we're going to do them. We're going to do
Sweet.
Twin Suns pods, and we'll look at exactly the best way to do it. And um, I think it'll be exciting either way. Twin
Nice.
Suns was really popular, um, and I won one Twin Suns game all weekend.
Awesome.
So
What
yeah,
what leaders were you playing?
the one that I won was Grievous and Newt Gunray.
Amazing. Okay.
Yeah. I actually had in that match. I had 9 battle droids in play. Never played an exploit card the entire game. Um, but I did win off the back of playing a fine edition and getting someone's Magna Electra. Was it the saber from the Magna Guard droid? The Electra
Okay.
staff.
Yeah.
I got an Electra staff out of someone's discard pile, equipped it to a tactical officer, and then played overwhelming barrage. Taking out a player's sentinel and then swinging at their base for the win.
Amazing. That's awesome.
It was the only game I won. I lost. I was 12 losses of 1 win of Twin Suns on the weekend.
Well, you've won more Twin Suns games than I have because I haven't played the format yet.
It's quite good. Yeah, it's quite good. I will make a suggestion if you want to have if you like Twin Suns, and I've heard this, like some people think, oh, sometimes the games go really fast. A little house rule that we played with, and it was just fun. It was me and some of the judges. We played with whatever base we chose plus 10. So if you took
Plus
a
10
30,
health.
yes,
Nice.
and that was really fun because a lot of us got to play. Like I saw an Annihilator cat played at 11 drop,
Whoa.
which you would never see in a standard game.
Sure.
It's just too expensive. So that's an interesting thing that we could talk about too in the future is just how to have more fun playing Twin Suns.
Awesome. Okay, I've got one more plan question here for you.
Okay.
I think the players in Denver were super happy, right? It sounds like going forward,
yeah,
and it sounds like going forward, you might not implement everything we've talked about, but yeah, you guys are listening, right? And you'll consider some of these things.
Mm-hmm.
What about the other events that happened? Like in Milan and places where the prize structure didn't get changed.
Yeah, we could talk about this. So it's important to know, as far as the prize structure goes, Milan, Liverpool, all the sectors, they all had the same identical prize structure going in.
Mm-hmm.
Essentially, our third party partners, they kind of just had to agree on what the price structure was, and they were running the event, and so they all ran the same price structure. They all agreed, hey, we could run this price structure. Um, and so, as far as Milan goes, um, we just didn't receive the feedback that we
Mm,
got in Denver. Like it didn't come to, and I don't know. There could be a couple reasons for that. Um, it could be the fact that there was uh, there was a bunch of social media stuff after Milan about one of the matches in the top eight.
oh yeah, maybe that just kind of
It could have just sucked all the
stole the
air out of the
spotlight.
room.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And then that feedback got lost and didn't give to us. Now, I did confer with some of my coworkers. They did get some of the feedback in Liverpool
Mm.
that we got in Denver. I just don't think it was as amplified, but they did get it. And I do think that they made some adjustments.
Oh really?
Yes, I know they made the adjustments. I don't know what they are because I haven't
Okay.
quite
Yeah.
talked to them, but they sent out an email this morning saying, "Hey, here's the feedback from Liverpool," and in there, that's what it was about. And normally I would send, or one of us would send the feedback to them about Denver. But honestly, I got home at 7 o'clock.
Sure.
Uh, I haven't sent that email out yet. It'll go out tomorrow morning. Um, and so we do talk to each other. I think something that people do need to understand as far as the organized play team, FFG is a global company. Our team is global. So
Yeah.
two of our members actually live in France. So Nico and Remy, they're in France. They were handling Milan and Liverpool. And then three of us are here in the US. And none of us are even in the same state.
Yeah.
So we're all in different states. So we're doing a lot of remote work. We're all working together. There's a lot of communication. But the most important thing is we took action in Denver because we received the feedback. If don't be afraid to say, hey, uh, do this, and this, or this is what we want. We listen, we make changes. So if the feedback wasn't coming in Milan and Liverpool, it's hard to make the changes.
Yeah.
So don't be afraid. We're not gonna yell at you if you say, hey, we don't like this or we don't like that. Um, we want to hear it. This is a community, right? So we want to hear what you say, and then we want to listen, generally care, and then do what we can to make you guys happy.
Yeah, I think that's kind of the main takeaway I want folks to get from, this interview is, obviously there were some cool things looking forward, but I think you guys care, right? And you're open to feedback. So getting to know the folks on the team, and there is a real outlet for some of this feedback. You don't have to have 12 years of history
Yeah,
playing card games with
yeah,
someone to give feedback.
yeah. And the thing is, too, I want people to know this comes from the very top of FFG Studios. So, like, you know, when I got hired, Jim Cartwright called me and he was saying, "Hey, we're going to expand our organized play team. We need help. We need more people. Um, I know you have run Star Wars events for ever, right? Going back before FFG, right? I used to run the Wizard of the Coast,
Yeah,
Star Wars trading card game, the miniatures game. The only thing I didn't run was Decipher events because I was, 16.
right.
I couldn't be a tournament organizer really. Um, but he came to me and his mandate to me was like, hey, I want you to apply for this job because I want someone who knows the community, who's been there the whole time the FFG community has existed,
Hmm.
and who really cares about the Star Wars fan base, the player base for our games, and I want that person in our organization to help guide us so that we're making the best decisions that we can make. And this came directly from him, and I was like, I can do Star Wars. Yeah, I'm in. Like, so
That's
um,
awesome.
I still had to get hired and go through the whole process, but I'm saying that was his vision. His
Yeah.
vision was he wants to get the people that really care about the community and make sure that they have a voice within FFG.
Well, good work, Jim.
Yeah, he's a great guy.
Yeah. That's pretty much all I had planned to talk about. At this point, I'll just turn it over to you. And is there anything else that you want to talk about? Things looking forward, What haven't we covered?
Yeah, so I mean, looking forward, obviously the next event is Richmond. I'm going to be there. I'm very much looking forward to it. Um, I want to see what the metagame looks like in Richmond. Um, it could be vastly different. Um, we There is a isn't there like a competitive stream on Wednesday?
There is.
Yeah, so I'm sure there'll be some updates in there. I don't know what they are, but I'm sure if there's a competitive stream, I'm sure there'll be some updates there.
We're
Um,
expecting something.
yeah, me too. I don't know. I would say organized play has nothing to do with that.
Right,
Um,
right. I
so,
get it.
but we hear feedback, right? And we sent all the data from the last 3 events to the development team. So
Yep.
I'm sure they're looking at it closely, and I'm sure they're doing their due diligence. I will say one thing, and I wanted to address it because this was a feedback. People were asking, well, how come the devs weren't at Denver?
Hmm.
Why is it just organized play here? It's really important to know the devs were working overtime this whole week. The devs have been busy working on stuff, so they were very busy. They just couldn't go to the show. So
Are you allowed to say if they were like crunching numbers for the stream on Wednesday, or if they were
so I don't
doing?
know exactly what they were doing.
Okay,
Well, I don't know exactly what they were doing, but they were in a thing called like a developer summit where they were all together
awesome.
doing stuff.
Okay.
So I haven't. I am not in the office, so I haven't been to a dev summit. So
Yeah,
I don't
you
know
were with me.
exactly what. Yeah, I was with you. So I just know because like when I was sending the emails, like we were sending the report emails, we were getting the out of office devs are in the summit.
Okay.
I'm like, well, that must be important, So so yeah, I'm looking forward to the next 2 events, sectors and regionals. I'm very much looking forward to the GC. We are just starting spoiler season on Legends of the Force, so we got a couple spoilers there. But I mean, I'm still here to explore Jump to Lightspeed. I think there was some great things to look forward to. Even though Django was doing really well, there were some surprises. We had a Luke top 8.
Yeah, that was awesome.
How about the Princess Leia Lake County deck?
I love it. I love
That
it.
I just looked at that deck. That was cool. There was the Yoda deck that was using the combo to put all the units into play. That
Yeah,
was it, the Endless Legion or whatever.
yeah.
Like there
With
was some,
Annihilator and 2 Cad
yeah,
Banes made more main deck. That
yeah.
was
He was just
amazing.
like, I have a million resources. I can play Cad Bane. What does it matter? You know. Um,
And
so
he
there was,
and when he did it on stream, he played Cad Bane for 11.
yeah,
That was a moment. That was awesome.
yeah. So, um, so that those are things I'm looking forward to, right? Like the community's still innovating, new decks popping up, regardless of the fact of like it was still heavy Django metas, right? Um, even though I think Boss Blue took out Liverpool, it took out a Django,
It
but Django
did.
still made second. It was still a good deck. It still had
Yeah.
really good performance. It's just the top 8 was a little more diverse. Um, and I am also looking forward to the Galactics. As, if there's one thing I can stress about Galactic Championships that I don't think people understand, there's been so much work put into this one event for the whole. This is more than an FFG thing. This is an ASMA thing. There's a
Mm.
ton of resources being put into this event, and they're being very conscious to make the event feel like this is a celebration of everything Star Wars Unlimited, not just a competitive event. Yes, the
Mm.
competitive event will exist in this home, um, and all of the but there's all these other things that are there for you to do, like the idea of connect, collect, compete. The
Yeah.
convention is divided into those 3 areas, so the convention has something for each of those things,
Cool.
which is really cool. And there will be devs there, there'll be access there, so it's worth going. And we personally created the prize wall for that, and I'm super proud of it. It is going to be
Okay. Awesome.
an awesome prize wall, and I'm running all the side events, all the major side events. I'm running them all. So
Amazing.
come see
And
me.
if you're proud of the prize wall, I can't wait because I have a certain status quo for what I expect
Yeah,
from you,
yeah.
and
Yeah, I'm
probably
very
be
happy.
awesome.
I'm very happy with it. It is it was a lot of work, and I want people to want to go. I want people to enjoy the event. It will be worth your time. I promise you. There are some cool side events. I can't really talk about them yet because I don't know what's been announced, and I don't want to say spoil anything. But there's some really cool stuff that I'm pretty happy. There's one side of it tournament. I got chosen to run it because it was like, yeah, I really want to do this format, and they're like, well, if you want to do it, you have to run it. I'm like, good, I'm in. So that's one of the downsides of suggesting to do stuff is that you end up having to do it. So,
Amazing.
um, yeah. So and then there's one other event that I'm super proud of that's going to happen this year that we'll find out shortly what it's about. So what
Okay.
it's going to be, but that one's my baby, and so look out for that announcement. It'll be coming shortly.
I I will be looking. Awesome.
So
Well, this has been fantastic.
yeah, thanks for
Um,
having me. This is so cool. Like one thing I don't think people really talk about, like you and I go back so much from we've played so many Star Wars games together.
yes. Yes.
So I didn't know that you were going to Denver. Like we just bumped into each other, and it was like, oh hey, we even had a like a video chat with Nathan and my wife
Yeah.
because our Nathan's wife and my wife we're all friends. We were playing games together, so it was really cool to kind of reconnect. And he's like, oh yeah, I kind of do this. I do content creation. I was like, let's talk about the event.
Yeah.
And he was like, "Oh, like come on the podcast." I'm like, "Yeah, come on, let's do it." So it led to
Yeah.
us doing this, and it was
That
great.
is awesome. It was awesome to see you. I ran into a few other folks that like I hadn't played card games with for 8 years, and just sat down across the table from them again.
Yeah, one funny anecdote: when I walked into the convention hall on Saturday, some guy from across the room put his hands up. He's like, "Gold leader!" And if people don't know, I created this group called Gold Squadron many moons ago that ended up spinning off into its own podcast, which is like the most popular X-wing podcast ever. Um, I don't really have much to do with the success of that podcast, other than uh, the name of it, right? Like the actual person that did all the podcasts, Dio Morales, he's really the one who made that thing super successful. But he was just one of the guys that played at our store. He was like, "Let's do a podcast." I'm like, "Yeah, let's do a podcast." But then I realized that like my responsibility to trying to organize a community was too much, so I stepped away from it and let him do his thing. And then his thing was huge, way bigger than anything. But it's funny because people still call me Gold Leader
Yeah.
if they've met me from any of the old FFG Star Wars games. And so it was kind of a cool energy to walk in the room and somebody I haven't seen in like 7 years yell out Gold Leader, and I still kind of turned. I'm like, is he talking? He's talking. Yeah, he's talking to me. It was pretty cool.
Amazing. Awesome. Well, I will miss a couple big events, but I will be there for Galactics and for Gen
Okay.
Con the week after.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I
I'm
could
looking
tell
forward to it.
people, for people who can't make Galactics, I can say this: if you can't make Galactics for whatever reason, I'll be sad. Um, you might be sad if you can't make it, but if you can't make Galactics, still go to Gen Con. There's gonna be something cool at Gen Con, and I'm not
Awesome.
talking about uh, like a con exclusive type of thing. I'm talking about there's gonna be a series of events at Gen Con that are very exciting for people.
Sweet.
So
I'm looking forward to it. I'm going either way, but
awesome.
yeah, I hope we pull in a bunch of Star Wars Unlimited players.
I hope so too. So
Awesome. Well, thanks again for joining, Ron.
I
It
appreciate
was
it.
awesome to have you, and you answered a lot of tough questions. And again, kudos to you and to the team for taking the time to listen. It's awesome.
Thank you. I really appreciate you. Thank you to everyone who came these past 3 weeks for these sectors events. We're going to try to be better for you. And again, if you ever want to send feedback, send it my way. I'm happy to listen, and come visit me at one of the other events.
Awesome. Thanks, Ron.
You're welcome. Good night.
Take care.